This is an arthroscopy on the left shoulder, Mr. Christopher Long, performed on the 27th of September 2012. Now we're starting the examination in the true shoulder joint. And the structure you can see on the left is the humeral head, the ball of the shoulder joint. And on the right, we see the relatively flat surface of the acromion, which is part of the, the glenoid, which is part of the shoulder blade. The articular surface there of the humerus looks fine, so there's no evidence of any arthritis. And then if we come to the top of the joint here, we see the biceps tendon. That's that cord-like structure. At the top, where it inserts into the glenoid, it's normal. But if we move forwards, we see that there is some irregularity, particularly on the overlying tendon. That's just the absolute front edge of the supraspinatus. And you can see some redness there in the tunnel that it's going into, indicative of some impingement. Now the cuff itself, the supraspinatus, you can see at the front there, slightly frayed, but as we come back, the tendon is quite normal, and if we look round there, we can see round to the bottom of the back of the shoulder, so that's the infraspinatus that looks intact. So essentially, structurally, your cuff is intact. And then finally, we need to look forwards into the front of the joint. There's the subscapularis tendon, the top edge of it. Again, that looks fine. And if we look at the front of the glenoid there, no evidence of any instability, no tearing of the glenoid. So essentially, the inside of the shoulder looks as if this is indeed primarily an impingement problem. Now this is the first view in the subacromial bursa, and you can see at the bottom edge there, the bottom part of the picture, there's the cuff. You can see there it's a little fibrillated and it's rubbing up against the structures at the top, which is the soft tissue covering the undersurface of the acromion. So we're first of all going to just remove those soft tissues so we can define the bony structures. So I've now cleared off the soft tissue, and we can see here the spur of bone up at the top of the picture that's been digging into the cuff. So the next thing we're going to do is just resect that back and take off that large spur just at the front. So I've now finished doing the decompression. Now, whereas previously I could hardly get an instrument between the cuff and the acromion, we can see we can easily pass instruments now. Underneath here is the roughened surface of the cuff, and up at the top here, this is where the spur of bone was. This is the front of the acromion, and if we look over right to the medial side, we can just see the end of the collarbone there. So we've taken the entire front of the acromion off and produced more space between that and the rotator cuff.